Hey, it's Lauren with Bargain Bead Box, and today we are going to work with the Sweater Weather collection to make a wrap bracelet. I'm going to kind of be making this up as I go, but I'm going to mostly be using the glass bead mix in Autumn Hearth, 20 grams from our box. I think I might throw in some of the dyed brown agate rounds. I love those crackly brown rounds. I think they'll look really fun together. And I may add some of the other crystals if I feel like it. We'll see. The items I'm using not in the box are just some basic findings. I'm going to use a magnetic clasp. I really like this one from the Bead Box Bargain site, the Super Hold. It is number TOG 614. I've got some clamshell bead tips in bronze, also from Bead Box Bargains. A couple different sizes of antique bronze jump rings. At least one or two of the larger ones from this mix. But the 6mm will work well also. And I may end up throwing in some of these little 3.2mm spacer beads in my design. I'm not sure yet. And I'm just using the pack of crimp beads I have open. They're going to be hidden under my clamshell tip, so it won't matter that they're not bronze. I'm just going to use, again, what I've got open, using up what I have on hand. And then I'm going to be stringing on tiger tail wire. And this one is a 0.45mm, but you can use smaller also, 3.5, anything. We're not going to be using giant beads, so it doesn't have to be super thick. All right. And this is a fun, simple project inspired by some of the wrap bracelets that Kathy from our warehouse fulfillment team makes. She makes these amazing bracelets. Now hers are, I'll show you one that she made. Hers are generally tiny beads, like smaller, but they're, look at this. It's like a triple strand wrap. She's got her magnetic clasp here. And that way, when you wrap it, it looks like 6 strands, but it only has to go around your wrist twice. And that helps the strands sit a little better than if you're just doing one looped 6 times, which I think is ingenious. So we're going to do, I think, a double strand because we're using larger beads. But she has so many gorgeous wrap bracelets, and I've always wanted to try to make myself a wrap bracelet. So I finally asked her, I was like, would you mind if I did a tutorial inspired by your wrap bracelets? Mine won't be the same. Hers are tiny and delicate and gorgeous. And maybe I'll try to make one of these with our small beads from Bead Box Bargain stock. But she was like, absolutely. And I so appreciate that. So today we're going to try making a double strand wrap bracelet using primarily this bead mix. All right, let's get everything opened up and laid out. Okay, so I've got 2 larger jump rings, and then I'm going to need 4 smaller jump rings. And I'm going to start off by cutting my wire and attaching it to my clasp. So I want this to wrap around my wrist twice, so I'm going to need to make sure I have plenty of room for that. All right, there we go, trimming that wire, and I need 2 strands, so I'll go ahead and cut my second strand too, just so I have it. And I would always rather cut it a little bit too long, waste a few inches, than too short and waste the whole thing plus my time beading. So I do tend to be generous in my sizing here. All right, so let's start by attaching a jump ring to the end of this cord. So I'm going to string on, first of all, my clamshell bead tip here. Now I'm going to put on, or drop it, put on this gold crimp bead, loop my wire end back up and around it. I like to do this, it just gives a little more to hold on to. I find it easier to work with. All right. So you've got a nice little wire loop there as well. Then I'm going to give it a good squeeze. All right, squeezing it with the interior of my crimper and then the exterior of my crimper, and then once more for good measure. This can be an ugly crimp bead. No one's ever going to see it. It doesn't have to look pretty. The big thing is that it's secure, so I'm going to give it an extra squeeze with my big ugly pliers that I love. Okay, time to trim off the top, the little end here. Looks like that. It's just right at the end of your cord, but again, it's got that extra loop of wire to grab onto. I find that greatly reduces risks of breakage, etc. And now I'm going to take my little clamshell bead tip, just fold it closed around the crimp like so. And now get my little jump ring, which I think we do still have a few of these in stock at the website. It's one of my favorite non-plier tools. I'm not always huge on single-use tools, but this one is just so effective that I do love it. And again, if you want to, if you're the kind of person who's like, no, my clamshell must be perfectly shut, you can totally put a drop of glue in it. But because the jump ring is going to hold it shut, I'm not going to bother. Okay, there we go, and close the jump ring. Well, you know, before I did that, this isn't closed all the way, so that's fine. And now I'm going to take my larger jump ring, find the right slot for it, there we go, fold it open a little more, and slip in both that loop and my clasp, because I want to have the length of my clasp factored in to the bracelet as well as I'm sizing it as I go. Okay. That might be a bigger jump ring than I want, actually, you know, looking at that. I think that's going to be too chunky. I'm going to get a slightly smaller jump ring here. Sometimes I just have to try a thing before I realize, don't like that. Okay, we'll go for the 6mm instead of the 8mm. I think that's going to work better. And the point of using 2 jump rings is that we will have 2 strands, and we just want it to sit nicely on the wrist. And that tends to give it a little more freedom to move around. So here we go. Use the 6mm instead. I think that's going to be nicer. Yeah, that looks much better. You're much more in proportion to the clasp size there as well. I like that better. Yay. And of course, it's going to want to the magnet's going to want to grab it while I'm beading. That won't be as much of an issue when you're wearing it. Okay. So, now for the stringing. And I'm going to go for a pretty boho style look here. Find myself another 6mm ring. Here we go. So I'm going to just kind of do things in a slightly random pattern, but I'm going to save the larger beads for the other strand. I'll show you what I do with those later. We'll set them aside for now and kind of go with the smaller 4mm profile and below. Anything like 6mm-ish we'll put over on this side. Okay, and don't worry if your mix looks different from mine. It absolutely is going to. They're all unique. You don't have to go bead by bead and copy me. I'm literally just going to be stringing them in a random pattern that makes me happy. So, yeah, if your mix is slightly different, every mix is slightly different, don't worry about it. We're just going for kind of a boho theme. I'm just going to do colors and shapes in various patterns that make my eyes happy. But I'm going to start with one of these little spacer beads because I like it after kind of ease into it. I just think it looks nice there with a clamshell bead tip. Kind of looks less abrupt. I don't know, just something I like to do. So, okay, let's get a little bicone, do some brown, some gray. My main goal with this is going to be never to put 2 of the exact same color or shape next to each other. So I'm just going to like alternate. And we'll see what happens. I'll try a peanut bead. That's kind of fun. And some of the like clear ones too. Oops. Yeah, really just going through and again, trying to super mix up those colors, shapes, and textures to get a semi-balanced while also semi-random look, I guess. Just going for whatever feels right here. There's no hard and fast rules. Just whatever makes you happy. I love the gray and the taupe mixed together. Yeah, that's nice. I think we need a little more of the orange if we've got it. Here we go. Oh, but that's the same shape I just used. So we'll put a bicone in between them. There we go. Just mixing things around. That's fun. I really like mixes. I like the random feel of them. I like all the different colors and shapes. I like this dark red. It's just going to be fun. Okay, maybe something gray. What about one of these? Here we go. Yeah, so I'm just going to keep going until this is long enough to go around my wrist twice. So we'll see what happens when we get there. And I think I need something dark next. We did a bicone. How about another? There we are. I'm probably way overthinking this. Some orange. Some more taupe. Like red peanut bead there. Maybe another darker one of these ovals. That's fun. It's going to be a very boho style, very fall sort of piece. And that makes me happy. Is what I am hoping for anyway. These little orange rondelles in there. All right, next let's grab one of these dark red pieces. Go. Then let's see, what do we need? Ooh, what about a dark gray peanut bead? Y'all, I'm so excited for fall. That is definitely my favorite season of the year. It just makes me happy. And I am ready for chilly weather. It's going to be fun. All right, next I'm going to grab one of those gray beads and some taupe again. And then maybe one of these seed beads. Oops, not that one. There we are. Again, your mix is going to be different than mine, and that is completely okay. Just going to play around and have fun with it. I would love to know, does your family have any autumn traditions? And if so, what are your favorites? What's your favorite thing that you go, oh yes, fall. I love fall because of this. My family, we make a lot of pies. I don't know if that really counts as a tradition, but it's definitely a thing that we do in the fall. I don't know. Something about the cool weather. I'm just like, I need apple pie. I need to make a cherry pie. Basically, all the pies. Just makes me happy. I also blame Great British Baking Show for being back on the air. It makes me want to bake too. So there's that. It's like my comfort show. I love to watch it while I bead. Because you don't have to pay too close attention, but you know, it's chill and happy. And I like the competitors help each other. Sometimes it's really nice. Okay, let's see. Here we go. We'll do a little red chunky bead. Why not? And there we are. It also seems like in the fall, Lynn's school has a million dress-up days, which she loves. She loves to get all dressed up in, various costumes. They'll do superheroes. They'll do, fancy days, PJ days. I just have to watch the calendar extra close because I'm like, I don't want to send my kid to school in pajamas on superhero day. That's just not good. So I always feel like it's a little higher stakes, but she loves it. So that's fun. We need something else in between there. Do one of these. Oh, I probably take way too long at this. It's both. I'm a fairly slow stringer some days with my wrists, and also I'm just like, what color? what looks right, but also random because, you know, we're going for a random pattern too. Okay. But again, my main thing that I'm looking for, this is not the shape or the color of the bead before it. And past that, anything goes. More orange there. Let's see. What else? I think we need some darker red. Here we go. And awesome. Fall colors make me extremely happy. They just are soothing to my soul. I love them. And it looks like I'm well over halfway done with this strand now. Come on. Oh, that's good. We're getting there. Making some progress. All right. Let's see what we need next. Maybe some of this like red brown. Gray. We're getting close. Okay. Almost to the point where I'm going to hold it up to my wrist and see. Yeah, it needs a little bit more. But we're getting there. What now? Brown, maybe? Oh, it is a fun mix. I like that. I'm also trying to balance it, like what do I have left on the table to make sure I can continue that, I say pattern, but that's a very loose word. You know, it is neither the color nor the shape of the bead in front of it is all I'm really looking for here. Like, do another orange rondelle. A lot of bicones, so every third or fourth bead or so. I've been trying to put a bicone here. And there's 2 colors of gray bicone, which is nice. And I have a good amount of these little taupe rondelles in my bag too. I'm just trying to use those up also. Again, yours will be different, and that is fine. Here we go. I love small beads. It's going to look really fun when it's done, but it also, I am not the world's most patient beader. Just like I want to wear the bracelet. And small beads, you just have to put so many of them on. But it will be worth it, I'm sure. All right, time for another yellowy bead, maybe? Yeah. Are getting really close, at least. All right, let's see where we're at with that. Now, you want to have plenty of room because you're going to be wearing another strand. It'll be essentially 4 strands. So I'm almost there, because keep in mind, you're going to add some length with your bead tip and your jump ring also. You can see I'm close. I'm going to put just a couple more beads on. Then I'm going to finish it up. I would rather it be a little loose than too tight, especially with a multi-strand like this. So I really think I think 2 beads should do it. And then I've got my end here. So I'm going to end with a little spacer bead. Now I'm going to take my clamshell bead tip and I'm going to stretch it flat so I can get right up against it with my crimp bead. Grab my crimp bead And I'm going to do the same thing I did earlier, wrap it back around and through. But this time it's a little more complicated because I've got to keep tension on it so it stays where I want it to stay. And I'm going to be knocking beads all over the place, but that's okay. All right. Here we go. Kind of pull, keep tension while I pull on this side of the cord. So that, yeah, that looks pretty good. My crimp bead ends up about where I want it to end up. All right, so now I'm going to crimp it with the inside notch of the crimpers. And I can release the tension to the outside notch to kind of just shape it a little bit, even though, like I said, we're never going to see it again. It doesn't have to be gorgeous, but if it can be kind of round, it'll be easier to hide. There we go. And now all that's left to do is clip the wire and fold up the clamshell tip. There we are. All right, so I'm going to eventually attach it over on this side, but for now I'm going to leave it flat because this will serve as a very handy guide for how long I want to make my next strand. So I'm going to grab my second piece of wire here and start it the same way we started that first one. Here's the clamshell bead tip. Here's a crimp bead. Crimp bead goes around. The wire goes around and back through the crimp bead. Pull that tight. Crimp it. And then hide it. And then start beading. Just going to pull that as tight as I can. Go. I'll trim the end. And now just kind of squeeze that shut. Okay. And now we're going to add another one of these jump rings. Here, let me pull this to the middle so I can show you what I'm doing. I'll drop my wire on the floor. One moment. Okay, I got my escaping wire here. I'm going to take this jump ring, open it up, run it through the holes in the bead tip, and then attach it to that larger jump ring. And using a larger jump ring rather than just attaching both the clasp itself, it just gives it a little more wiggle room and helps it lay a little bit nicer. Okay. So now I'm ready to bead my second strand. And Kathy's advice is to use some larger beads on the first part of your second strand so you can create like basically a little focal part. And she said she usually does hers basically about as long, pretty much half the length, like about long enough to wrap around your wrist once. And for my focal beads, or my larger beads, I've got these that I pulled out, the larger ones that I pulled out from my mix over here. And then I've also got these brown beads. And I'm not sure exactly which I will do, or some combination thereof. I will have to figure that out. But I am going to start with, trim this, I didn't cut it very neatly. There we go. I'm going to start with a spacer bead here, just like I did last time, and maybe just a couple small beads from my mix here. Just a couple. Ooh, trying to think how I want to do this. I have a lot of these red rondelles. I could find a bead I have a good number of and do them in between the brown. That could be pretty. Start with some gray and some light brown. Oh, look, that's actually very similar to what I did on the last one. It's funny. And then I'm going to put one of these multicolored seed beads. And then we're going to go into our larger beads. So I'm thinking, this magnet is not playing super nice. Here. Thinking we'll do an agate bead, then a red bead, then an agate bead. Like, we'll do 3 of the smaller red beads, and then I'll start doing some of my larger glass beads in between instead. See how that looks, because I've got 6 agate red beads, so I can put some of those on the other side of it too. I think that's going to be fun. Alright, so another agate, and then maybe like a gray bicone, and a glass big round bead, another gray bicone, like that, and just do some of these larger shapes that I have. And then some, that's kind of fun. And then we'll go back to doing the agate rounds on the other side of that. There we go. And that should be most of it. And again, I'm just kind of making this up randomly, so you do whatever works with the beads that you have in your mix. This is not a an exacting or exact pattern. You're just kind of going with the flow and seeing what feels right. Let's see. Is that long enough? Or do I want to do... I could go into another... We have this peachy bead left. We could do that one. Kind of like that. So we have like a semi-pattern going on for part of this. Then some of the agate rounds. And again, I'm going for a very boho look, so it's not bothering me that this is a bit asymmetric. I'm just trying to get the length where I want it to be, and I think that's pretty good. So you've just got some larger beads to go along with it. So we've just got like one part where it gets a little larger. And now, for the rest of this strand, I'm going to go back to just my random stringing and just finish it out with more of those small beads. Again, mostly what I'm hunting for here is each bead in the sequence is neither the same color nor the same shape as the bead before it. So just get that going. Now what? Go back to the random shapes, and it feels like that should be a really easy thing to do, but I always, like I said, I feel like I'm very slow at this, but that's okay. Making something I'm happy with and that I'll want to wear, which is the point. If it takes me a little longer, that is okay. Just going for what seems fun. Let's see. How about red bicone, orange. Could do more of the dark gray. Oop, if I can get it on the cord there. There we go. And the taupe. And we'll do this little chunky red one. I like it. Oh, and just keep going. And that's the fun thing about this bracelet. It's really free-spirited. It doesn't try too hard to be anything in particular. It just does its thing. And that's fun. I like all the different colors and shapes together too. I think it makes it a lot of fun. What do I want next? Maybe that bead. Then what are these? It's been a minute since we did a bicone. I love that. It's very fun. all those different colors and shapes together. Just kind of make me happy. Do gray. Nope, that's the same shape as the one before it. Do this one. Okay, pink. And then gray. Move that over there. Really dark bicone. All right. Peanutty beads. Rondelles. That's fun. Oh, we're getting close. Again, my goal is to have these be about the same length. Yeah, we are getting there. Pull this down. Okay. And again, you want to leave yourself a little extra length because they do need to wrap. The fun thing about this is you only have to make 2 strands, but it looks like you've made 4 strands when you put it on. So that's neat. Come on. Oh, we've got a lot of these little rondelles left here towards the end. Other shapes too. Bicone. Yeah, the taupe bicone. Let's do that one. Then this orange. The red. And then maybe a gray. We are getting there. Getting very close now. Just a little bit more, and we'll be done. All right. Okay. Yeah, like 2 more beads maybe. Black ones, and then I think we'll end with the red rondelle. How are we looking? That looks pretty good. Do we need, yeah, maybe 1 more. 1 more. That looks good. Okay. Now I'm going to do another little 3.2 millimeter spacer bead to end things, and then got my clamshell bead tip flattened out so I can get up nice and close to it with my crimp bead. There we go. And once again, take the end of that cord, wrap it around and back through the crimp bead. Hold the crimp bead as close to the bead tip as I can, maintain tension while I pull it shut, or pull it tight. There we go. You don't want it too tight to where your beads are like buckling up against each other, but you don't want it loose enough that it's going to show a ton of cord either. Just going to crimp that. It looks pretty good. Extra crimp for good measure. A little squishy squish with the ugly pliers for really good measure. I love my ugly pliers. My little wire cutters. I just buy my wire cutters at hardware stores usually because I don't feel bad when they break or like when I'm rough on them and cut things with them that I shouldn't, which doesn't happen that often, but it definitely happens sometimes. All right, so now all we need to do is attach jump rings. And we'll be good to go. I'm going to use my nice big pliers for this because my wrists are tired today and they help me grip. I do have nicer jewelry pliers, but these ones, they just work really well. I stole them from my husband and he's not getting them back. I let him borrow them sometimes though because, you know, I'm not selfish. But they are mine at this juncture. Okay. Open that up. Slide it on. close that nicely. Come on. It's not wanting to work with me. Is that the... Oh, because that's my big slot. That's why. That's better. Look at that. This ring has 4 different size slots. I'm going to try getting this one a little more closed too. Just don't want it to... There we go. That's a little better. To slip off there. All right. Clear this up. Now I'm going to take my slightly larger jump ring. Going to open it up and put on both of these jump rings, as well as the other end of my clasp. Close that up, and we're done. Let me try on the size, make sure that I've done a good job sizing it. And so you wrap it around, and then it looks like you've made 4 strands, but really, I had to make 2. Got it. There we go. Yep. Oh, that's nice. And here's, you see there's my larger strand in the middle, kind of. It's also very boho feeling. That's really fun. I like it. So now I've got a quadruple strand look. So multicolor, autumn colored wrap bracelet. I like that with the little bit of gemstone beads and bigger beads there in the middle, smaller strands all around. It's just a really fun look. So again, a shout out to Kathy from our warehouse team who makes stunning wrap bracelets, and I wanted to try my hand at it. This one is not quite as delicate as hers, but I love the autumn look. So remember, give yourself a little bit of extra space on your cord because you do have to wrap it, and you need it to be long enough to not be too tight when you have it wrapped, which that seems to work pretty well. I'm glad I gave it as much extra as I did. All right. So that is our wrap bracelet for today. Oh, I did want to show you one other thing, another one of Kathy's genius tips. So this is what she does when she's making a bracelet for someone else, a wrap bracelet specifically. She takes a piece of ribbon that's as long as the person's wrist, like exactly, cuts it to exactly the length of their wrist. And then she uses like paper towel tubes to build, this is 2 pieces taped together, to build this cardboard form. Because when you were making these wrap bracelets, you're not making it just to a specific length. Like if a person has a 7-inch wrist and you go, okay, double 7 is 14, you're not going to have room for the beads to wrap. And depending on what size of beads you're using, you'll need to add different amounts of extra length. So having this form to work off of and wrap around for a client when you're not working off of your own wrist, she says it's much easier to get the bracelet to the length that it needs to be to wrap twice. And sit nicely. So just another tip there. She's full of really awesome ideas. And then I had fun. Here's my little version. I think that's a lot of fun, and I'm excited to wear it. Thank you all so much for hanging out with us today. I tried to convince Kathy to film a tutorial, but she wasn't into it. So I'm like, all right, I'll do it. But I don't know if I've done her idea justice. At any rate, I do love this color combination. All right, well, thank you so much for hanging out with us today. If you are a Bargain Bead Box member, you got your sweater weather collection, which included way more than just this mix, but did have this mix in it, for $22.99 with free shipping in the USA. If you sign up today or tomorrow, I think tomorrow's the last day, you can get October's shipment for $22.99 and your future shipments for as long as we can continue to offer that grandfather price plan. You'll be grandfathered in at $22.99. On Friday, the 10th, our price will be increasing to $24.99 a month for new members. And that's just because of all the tariffs and everything that we're dealing with now. We do not want to offer to reduce the amount of beads. You know, the quality is non-negotiable for me as well as the quantity. So it'll be at $24.99 will be our price for new members who sign up after Thursday. So today and tomorrow, last chance to get in on that $22.99 level. So make sure if you've been thinking about joining, it's a great time to do so. And you will get October's box if you sign up by the 9th, the end of the day on the 9th. So Friday the 10th is when that price increase is going to kick in. I've been putting it off longer than I probably should have, but we're just, I always want to bring you the best deal possible. And also at $24.99, I'm confident we're still going to do that. So thanks y'all again. Thank you to all of our members who make the Bargain Bead box possible. We would not be here without you. Hope you have a wonderful rest of your week. And as always, happy beading.